Morning everybody. We're out here today on one of the farms and we're working on some of our food plots. We've been doing it now for a couple of weeks. We've been coming in and turning these areas. We've got a few of them planted already. Some of them we're still working on, and we're putting in some new ones, and then we go to some areas where we've been year after year and put them in those areas as well. So we've got a couple of new ones this year we're going to be doing. And what I want to talk about today is one of these little spots that we're going to be doing, and we're going to talk a little bit about the size of it, what we're going to put in it, and kind of how these small little hidey hole food plots can really be extremely effective for you in deer season. So especially for you archery hunters, these little spots are great. You want to get them near bedding if you can, and it's just going to be a little kind of a food stop for them. These are going to be small little plots. It's not something you're going to attract deer for 10 miles away. We typically plant them between 1/4 of an acre to 1/2 an acre, and sometimes they could be smaller than that. So we'll talk a little bit about the area. I'm going to take some more videos of this little spot for you, kind of show you how it lays out. We've got a blind in the upper end of it that we have used in the past, and it's a great turkey hunting spot. And we've actually done some deer hunting in the area, but this year we're going to put some food in here, change things up a little bit. But your top plants in the shade are going to be clover, brassicas, any of your broadleafs. Brassicas do well in there. We like to use chard sometimes. Turnips are good. Clover mix, and of course you can take wheat and mix your winter wheat in there. It being a cool season grass, it'll grow just about anywhere. So we're going to get started and get this ground turned up and get this little area ready, and come bow season, it's going to be a hot spot for us. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is just kind of walk everybody through this area that we're going to do to show you a little bit of how it lays out. There's a big ag field off the side of this area, okay? But what we do is we're allowed to come up into these type areas and plant. So what this food plot's going to do, from this fallen tree, it'll come around through here underneath these trees and go right up through there. And in the back end of that, that's a lot of bedding cover. Now I would say this area is probably 1/2 an acre. As you can tell, obviously we've already got a blind set here. It's ready to go, and we did take a nice buck out of this blind last bow season. Jack did. So we've got a lot of deer using the area. So what we're going to do is use this little food plot as a way to, when they come out of bedding and they come in this zone, they'll kind of hang out in this general area a little bit longer before entering into the ag fields. That's the area we're going to be working with. We're fixing to get on the tractor and get it going. Okay, now we've got all of our disking done. We've done this over a course of 2 days, and I just want to show you a little bit about what we're doing here. You can see this bow blind. We call it a bow blind. I guess you can hunt with whatever you want out of it, but we bow hunt out of this particular blind a lot. It comes out to a point here, but here's what I want to talk about with these food plots. You don't want to just randomly place your food plot just anywhere on the farm. We like to put them in good correlation to other, key components of the property. So just want to show you what we're working with here. There's a lot of bedding in this area here. It's an area that we've left alone now for 15 years. Just let it grow in. We don't go in there. We don't mess with it. There's a lot of bedding there. And we hunt the edges. The bedding runs way down through there. Oh, probably another 300 or 400 yards long. And there's a lot of bedding over here on the other side of this field. Y'all have seen some of our shows before where deer have come out of that side of the field over there across here. Well, the deal is we want to put this food close to the bedding, and also they've got good cover in the taller part of the field. So we're creating habitat edge as well. So we've got thick woods, grown up thick field, and then food area, which you can tell we kind of keep along the tree lines. We kind of follow the contour of the property. So I'm gonna walk you through the food area now. And you can tell we use trails to work our way in around these plots once we get them going. So coming down, I'll show you the next important component to why this particular plot works so well. As we make this turn, we're on a point. We're on one of the furthest out points on this side, but look here. So because of this pond here, deer are able to have water, food, and bedding cover all in the same area. And that's what makes such a big difference with just placing your plot somewhere randomly or strategically placing it with other components. So we're gonna come on around now. Jack is up here in the top of the plot. He's up getting some seed ready. So we can tell we make this turn. I'm gonna come right up over the top here. Now, one section of this food plot is actually in a little wooded section. That's where we're on the way to right now. And there's gonna be another blind set up here. This is the top end of the plot. You can tell, pretty rocky in here. This will all be a shade blend mix. So this is you can tell now our food plot, our plot runs right down through here. We just came from back here. It continues down, but it turns off into these woods right here. And the back of that is still the same bedding area that we were showing you a while ago. Right there, a lot of you will agree with me. We found this 15 years ago when we got this property. Old tree stand. Something about spots where old tree stands were. They took the time to build that stand there. It's probably a good area. And then here on the other end of this, you can see our blind. Also a blind that we've had several successful hunts out of over the years that connects back out to the main big food plot, which goes down to the bottom. I say big, it's only, I'm gonna say it's 30 to 40 yards wide. Cover on your property is a lot more important than food. Food is great to get a deer in front of you, but cover is way more important for holding deer. This food is a great way to get them where you want them to be. We're working on another food plot area here, and this one's going to get a little more sunlight, so we actually will add some grain into this one and a little bit different mix than what we would have in our little hidey hole plots. See Jack's coming through there now with the tractor. This is a great setup for muzzleloader and rifle season. We do a lot of hunting up here, but something I wanted to kind of point out here, outside of the fact we're putting in this little food plot, is just look how much cover we have left growing around this area. There is a lot more cover around here than there is food, a lot more. Just as soon as you get in behind the blind, we've got very, very thick woods. We leave those undisturbed all the time, and we're just surrounded by cover. And we've let all this grow up and create cover. You can tell it even all the way up under the trees how thick it is. So we do put in food, and food is important. It's a great way to get deer out where you can see them and get them out, you know, where you want them to be. But cover, again, is much more important in the long run than food is. You'll have more and more deer on your food because of having more cover around it. Well, it's just been about a week and a half since we planted this plot. You can see all these sprouts coming in. It's looking great. I think it's going to be a really good setup this coming bow season. Everything's really starting to come up in here well. So you see the blind right down there at the end. I think this is going to be a great spot. Jack's getting finished up with the bush hogging right now, and we're gonna move on up the hill to some more spots. One of my favorite things here for the preseason, and what that is a vine scrape. It's August right now. We go ahead and set these things out. I'm gonna take some of this Seymour deer. I'm just gonna make, I'll use my rubber boot today. Sometimes I'll carry a little rake with me, but just scrape the ground out. We got this vine connected here. We've got a few sprays on this vine and a few on the ground. We'll get a camera set up over here. This is on a point. It's where little wood lines come together. This tree line's the furthest out point into the field, and that's one of the best spots I have found so far myself to be able to set these up. It's where these little points are. So we're gonna go ahead and get this one set, get a camera on it, and see what happens. Hey guys, I'm out here this morning, and I've been moving around some game cameras and trying to find some new locations to get them set up as we're getting ready for this upcoming velvet season, and then of course the regular archery season following right after that. So I have found a few interesting things this morning. I have found a persimmon tree that's already starting to drop a few persimmons, and I found a few new trails here or there throughout, but I found a situation here that I'm going to go ahead and hang a camera on, and I'm working my way down this logging road, and I have found a crossing trail where a lot of deer have been crossing right down here at this intersection of this little logging road behind me here. Well, off to the side of that is a perfect buck trail. And you can see where it's more lightly beat down off the side of this main trail. And it's where those bucks, I believe, are following up the side. And right in here is where they're making their crossing to go down here and go across the creek. So I'm gonna set a camera up here. I'll ease down here in a minute and get y'all a little bit, better look at what I'm talking about. But we're gonna get a camera here set up, and we'll be able to keep an eye on this crossing and see where deer are coming. Well, I've got food this direction and bedding this direction. I'm basically right in the middle, and having a camera here will help me, determine when those deer are making the transition, coming out of their bedding up here and coming down here to the more open ground. So just to show a little better, this logging road that I'm walking on here, it has got deer tracks all over it. They're using this pretty heavy. Lots of doe activity coming up down here. Well, what we do is we look off of these main little roads that does use a lot with their yearlings or so on, and we try to find little faint trails off to the side of them. So if you look right over here, I don't know how well you can tell in the camera, but running right through here, you can clearly see a pretty well used trail that comes up through this privet thicket, and it's been parallel of this logging road the whole time until it got to this area. Now right here, it crosses this road because the deer have to make a choice at this point to either go on up to the bedding on the left side and go across the creek, or they come up here to the open ground to where they're feeding at. So that's why we've got a camera set here. I think it'll be a great intersecting camera, and we'll be able to catch a lot of the buck activity in this area and determine where we might want to be set up here in just a few weeks. We're working on this logging road. We've come a long ways now. We're just driving our way through here and cutting out everything that's in the way. You want to do this in the preseason now and get it taken care of before it's time that it counts, It's hot, but to come out here in the early morning, it's worth it. So I just wanted to show you something else that we like to do that's maybe a little different. If you see how clear this path is behind me in the woods and how clean it is, what we do is we take a little drag and we pull it through here and cleans all the debris off the roads, the leaves and little sticks and things. We try to do that before the season. And anywhere that you walk through these woods in these little areas, it's a whole lot quieter. So that's another good tip. Sometimes after the leaves fall and get down on there heavy, you go through there and drag it again if you want to, and clean it right back up. All right, I just want to show real fast. We're loaded up here, and we've got some blinds on the back of this trailer and a couple of platforms that Jack built for us. And what we're going to do is show you guys how we set these blinds up using these platforms. It gives us a lot better than floor to be able to sit on as far as us setting up our tripods or our chairs or what have you, but it's just more comfortable, and your blinds will last a lot longer because what we're going to do is show you how we fasten these down, and we've got some blinds that have been in place for years by using this method. So we're fixing to take a few of these in here and get them set up. Y'all come along with us. All right, we finally got this thing up in here where we wanted to get it to, off of this logging road. It's been a trip getting it up here. We dropped our first platform off already, but We're about to get it unloaded. You can see these two trees just behind the trailer. It's going to be in the foreground of our blind. We're going to get it set up right there. That gives us about a 30 to 35 yard shot to our main crossing up here. That's what we're setting up for, is a crossing in this fence. This is a spot I shot a great buck last year, and we've had a lot of deer activity over the years, but we've never really had anything set up here ready for them. So this year come rut, we'll be ready. And they just travel this hill a lot during that time of year. So we're going to set this up in here. That'll be just right there. Give us a good 80, 90 yard rifle shot up through here for later on in the season.
There's only these two windows right here.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. You want two of each? These are just one buys. We'll get the fabric pulled up underneath the one buy, screwed down inside the blind. That's how we hold it down. All right, you can tell we cut our shooting lanes now. We got lanes cut out everywhere, and we took all the brush from those lanes, piled it up around here. Now it's gonna look like a fallen tree. So, set up, ready to go. I'm gonna go do another one. Take an old shooting house that's had a tree falling through it, add a little bit T-platform. We're set back up in here. Everything is zipped down. We're ready to go. It's our last one we're gonna set today. It's getting hot. We're fishing to get out of here. Call it a day. Come gun season, this will be a great spot.